host at Promaxo.
Yeah, you go ahead.
So what do we do at Promaxo? We have built our first open configuration MRI system for an office setting with initial beachhead in prostate cancer space, which is FDA cleared, and currently building robotic system and AI-based tissue characterization tool. We are already at revenue, but let's go back to MR. Why MR? And I think especially with this audience, it goes without saying that it's one of the best modality for screening, diagnosis, and even planning treatment. And there are probably thousands of journal articles and stuff supporting that. But MRI in many fields, especially in prostate cancer, which is our beachhead, hasn't quite become standard of care yet, at least as a first line of defense, and it's due to a variety of reasons. One of them is that the cost, the infrastructure needed, and which leads to wait times, patients are shuttling in between hospitals or imaging centers and urologists or surgeons. And urologists and surgeons can almost never have direct access to MRI. But even equally importantly, in conventional MRI, patient is in a board and it has very poor access to patient anatomy. And likewise, you need very, very specialized tools. So how we are addressing this is by developing low-field MRI system, which does not require any facility upgrades. It does not require shielding, and it's relatively inexpensive. It fits very seamlessly into an office setting. And you can see this donut shape. That is really the magnet. That's it. And you don't put anything into that board. That's really for robotic guidance. So the patient lies against the system, so the imaging field of view is outside of the magnet, not inside the magnet. So it's about 4 feet tall. So our vision is to do full 360-degree coverage of prostate cancer management for a patient, starting from screening to diagnosis to targeted treatment and follow-up, including active monitoring for the patients. So screening, we are building some protocols right now with several research partners and ourselves. For diagnosis and targeted interventions, we are FDA cleared, and we are building robotic system, as you'll see in the future. So by doing that, what we aim to do is really provide patients better coverage that is cheaper, but also leading to early diagnosis, better diagnosis, and early treatment, which results in better outcomes. So now it's a very attractive beachhead opportunity of $3 billion prostate cancer market. But when we really look a little deeper, we see that every year, at least 30,000 people, 30,000 men die of prostate cancer. Now, and this number has remained flat, and actually even surprisingly rising over the last few years, over the last 15 to 20 years. So whatever we have been doing hasn't quite been impacting prostate cancer, or at least deaths among men in the United States. Now, doing that also is pretty attractive for large urology group practices or a typical private practice. And what we have done is modeled here on the right side what the ROI looks like for a practice if they were to use Promaxo system. And you can see that based on existing CVT reimbursement codes, actually providing better care gives them ROI within a year. And beyond that, they are actually profitable. So the team is, again, the company is backed by a team of executives. Again, many of us are serial entrepreneurs. We have brought several devices to market in prostate cancer space, interventions, robotics, MRI, and people have background from large companies like Philips and Stryker and Pfizer. And we are also supported by more than 20 clinical and business advisors. So next couple of years look like this for us. The MRI system is FDA cleared, so we are right now in the middle of our commercialization. And that's what we are actually here to raise capital for as well, to do our scale-up and early commercialization efforts. Then a robotic system is being developed, and we expect it to be submitted for FDA review early next year. And all this while, we are collecting clinical data, which means that imaging data, but also the ground truth in forms of pathology finding, where we know where exactly cancer is, and we have corresponding image data to really train our classifier and look at screening and diagnostic and targeting platforms for that. So when we look at, say, comparables, at least informed competitors, right? So most of these devices are dedicated MRIs. But when you look at it, they're dedicated to one field, but Promaxo device is versatile. It checks all these boxes of these different points, but it's for pelvic imaging right now for prostate, but easily extendable to adjacent markets of breast, and we are doing some early research on that as well. And extremities. It's low field, doesn't require shielding. But the most important differentiation is the bottom two, which is basically compatibility with robotics and access to the anatomy of interest so that we can actually do interventions directly under MRI in an office setting. So again, I don't expect anyone to read this slide. It's very long, but the takeaway message here is that our technology is protected by more than 200 patents issued and filed. So a little bit of financial snapshots. On left, you see revenue projections, right? So we are already at revenue. We were at revenue last year, 2021, and we have stayed on target so far. But as we go deeper and deeper into further and further into future, we see that disposable part actually starts becoming a bigger and bigger chunk of percentage of overall revenues. And on the right side, it's broken down a little bit more into margins and EBITDA and all, and you see that in 2023 is when we will start breaking even, and 24 is when really become profitable. And that's because next couple of years we'll be really investing into our scale up and commercialization and development of a robotic platform. So we have so far raised $42 million in again strategic financing, but dilutive, non-dilutive, all of that. Currently closing our bridge to Series C, and really looking at Series C of $40 million so far. A lot of, again, validation has to go into device before we are ready for prime time. And this slide again shows I could spend probably half an hour on this, but I won't. The whole point is that the device has been proven to be accurate, safe, and effective. And in terms of clinical studies, so we have done 36 patients as of this presentation, and we compared against standard care, which is basically ultrasound biopsy, 12 to 15 core. And we take 3 to 4 cores targeted biopsy. And what we found was that detection rate was, and it shouldn't come as a surprise for people who are in the field, that it's 50% better doing biopsies directly under MRI in an office setting. And out of these 36 patients, 9 patients were found to have cancer exclusively on MRI. And what that does is it allows physicians to, when they can detect cancer, to actually, it gives them more options to do treatment or active surveillance and many other things that aren't option if disease is detected much later. And basically a lot of data is available in public domain in the form of publications as well. And I think with that, I conclude. Please join me in breakout room. Would love to talk to you more about that. Thank you.